Good morning. It is Cole Porter Friday. This past week has just been such an amazing experience. Today is Thursday. So on Tuesday. Okay, so on Tuesday, um, Ella had printed out these documents and it was like, oh, today's gonna be fun. And I was like, oh, is that for worship? I was like, oh, worship's gonna be fun too. And so I was like, okay, but it's not for worship. And she said she printed enough pages because I was the one who set up the printer. She's like, I need enough pages for everybody, for all the students in the program. And I was like, okay. And then so we do worship. She gives the worship, but she didn't use the papers. We say like, okay, vans are the same as before. And then so we go into our vans and then we drive out and then we literally go around the church, a block around the church, and then we drive back into the church. You're like, okay, what's going on? Like, are we getting additional training? Like, what was that about? And then so you're like, okay, today we're gonna do a phone-a-thon. So pretty much you're calling up friends, family, anybody we know, and they're also giving us referrals. So like, okay, who needs numbers to call? Call this person. Who needs numbers? Call this. And then these are like other colporters, other people in ministry who they've mentored or who've mentored them. And because like the other day, CJ got like 4 or 5 calls in the same day. And then so he's like, I'm gonna do it to my fellow leaders as well, where they had their students call me. I'm gonna have my students call them, and so we did that. It was intense. Like it was for me really draining because I'm not good with phones. Like I have to psych myself up to get on a phone call. I procrastinate when it comes to phone calls. I will do it if necessary, but I really don't like calling people, especially people I don't know that well. And I was like, okay, just like texted my family, give me contacts. And then so first call was to Sean, and then he was like, okay, how much do you want? Up to 100. I was like, okay, I'll take the 100. And then so yeah, and then so what we considered a dump bag was 100. They said if you get $100, we'll consider that a dump bag, and we need to have 10. Like I'm trying to, cause I'm under this tree, and so I'm trying to get into a position where there isn't light on my face. 10 dump bags to an hour. If you don't have 10 dump bags to an hour, we're gonna go out into the field. And so that was the first dump bag. Kuya gave me a dump bag, and then called people, and then somebody said, oh, okay, I'll donate 50. But she was out. She didn't have her information with her. She's like, okay, I'll just call back later. And I was like, okay, perfect. So happens one of the other colporters knows her daughter, and so called her up and said, hey, this is what we're doing, was wondering if you'd be interested in donating. And then he told her that a box of books is $200. And then she says, oh, then I'll get a full box, half of it for you, half of it for Gabriella. And so instead of donating 50, she ended up donating 100 to me, which was just so amazing. And I was okay. So this is how we're doing the phone-a-thon. We're trying to raise funds for 3 vans full of books to go out into the community. Some of it is going to go to a children's hospital where we can leave a devotional set for the parents, and then a kid's book for the child at the hospital. And then we're also going to go give it to other ministries so that they can bring it out into the community. And so we're trying to raise $9,000 because each van is $3,000. So that's 900 books that we're raising funds for. And then so that and then I called people up that I have no idea who they were. They weren't a referral. These are just people at the SCC who I mean, all their information's online. And then so I call them up and say, hey, I'm a member of this church, and I'm doing Youth Rush. This program, are you familiar with Youth Rush? This is what Youth Rush is. We're trying to raise money for this van, and then so like they have no idea who I am. They just know I'm a member of a church that I am doing youth rush. And then so this one guy, he's like, okay, spell your last name for me. And then so he actually looked at my membership to see if I was, which is totally fine. Like, you, like, especially, it's kind of shady if, like, you know, you're calling somebody up and they don't know who you are. And then so it was great that he checked up that I was actually who I said I was. And then he did see that I was a member. And then I was like, we could do, oh, because he said he gets a lot of fraud calls. So I was like, we could do an over-the-phone transaction, or if you're more comfortable, just talk to Marco, and you can donate through him. And then he said, "Is like, oh yeah, okay, I'll donate through Marco." And then so he did end up doing that, and it was just, and he gave $100 donation. And so this is just amazing. Like, just ask people, because you never know. And this is work for the Lord. $100 is 10 books into homes, 10 books, ministry books, message books that go out because of this person's generosity. And this is somebody who doesn't even know me. And that was amazing, you know. And then, like, I hadn't even given the price range, and I was like, how much would you like to donate? And he's like, 100. And then other people was like, okay, 50, 100, and it was just going out. And then so within the first 2 hours, so within the 30-minute mark of the hour, we were close to getting dump bags in the first hour. And it's like, okay, so I was trying to pace myself. So I organized my contact list, and then he said, okay, within the second hour, within the 30-minute mark, we were also close to getting the dump bag. In the third hour, we were like on our third dump bag by the 30-minute mark. So that's still seven dump bags that we somehow still need to get, and we didn't know how we were gonna get it. And then you're like, okay, let's like, we were calling people up, and then my stomach started turning because, like, I'm not good with high stress situations. And then so you're like, you know, we're already 30-45 minutes, and then we were like, okay, we're at 7, we need 3 more dump bags. And then Ron gets off of the phone, or someone, 2 dump bags. And then so this was like, oh, okay, we're good. Next hour started, and so this was why it was intense, because we were, as things were slowing down, we were like, we would get a dump bag within a minute of the hour. And then it's like, okay, but then as soon as that dump bag was done, even though, like, okay, we can breathe because we met the deadline, the next deadline is starting already. And so we were really working hard. I got a dump bag, sometimes even 2 dump bags per hour. We were working for 7 hours. I think there was 1 hour, I can't remember. I think there was 1 hour that I didn't get a dump bag. And then at the end of the night, I wasn't even gonna ask Achi. Like, I wasn't, because Achi had already donated to me before. And so I wasn't even gonna ask her. And then Achi said, how much do you want? Like, she was the one who asked me, and said, up to 1,000. And then I was like, 1,000. And then I was like, I'll take the okay, so this is me being bold, because if you tell me how much do you want, I'm going to ask. And she said up to 1,000, so it's a good thing she gave me a cap. And she's like, up to 1,000. And I was like, okay, I'll take the 1,000. And then so she gives me her card information. I was like, are you sure? Like, that's a lot of zeros. And then she's like, yeah. I already have money for this in the account. Like, go ahead and process it. And so I process it. And this was like 2 minutes before 8:30. 8:30 is when we end. This was like 2 minutes before 8:30. And then she's like, yeah, so I click charge. And then Pam was like, how much? And I was like, 1,000. And then she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, my sister just donated 1,000. And then I started crying. And then, like, the other people were talking, like, about it. And this is like, one of the guys said, like, when he passed me, when I said, oh, that's a lot of zeros, he was like, whoa, this must be a very big donation. And then so, like, that, the generosity of others really touched me, because, and also, like, some people like, just gave, like, some people gave and got books for themselves, and then others just gave for complete strangers. They don't know who's getting these books, and then they gave, like, the $1,000 donation. That's 100 books. That's 100 books that are gonna go out into the community because of that generosity. At the end of the night, I had 1,600 that were already credited. I have also, and then yesterday I got 150, so that's 1,000, 1,750, and then I still have another 50, so that would be 1,800. That's in the works, and then I did have somebody who already pledged 200. Actually, I have somebody who pledged 250 and who pledged 200, and so that's still coming, and so that's about $2,200 that are gonna go in for these books. And then as a group, I think yesterday night, or the 2 days ago, we raised 8,000 as a group. And so that is 8,000. Let me see. 8,000 is 800 books. 800 books that are gonna go out because of the generosity of someone else. And then so that was, to me, was just mind blowing. It was amazing. I couldn't do it 2 days in a row. It was really I would get off a phone call and I wanted a break, but I had to keep going. And that was it was really draining for me emotionally and mentally. And then I was like, just like, I want to go out into the field. Like, I have to hit the field. But at the same time, calling people up is doing a whole lot of good. So, like, at the same time, you can't just quit. And so Sunday, we're going to have time to make more calls, which is I'm excited for, but at the same time, dreading. And so, yeah, that is the summary of week 8, day 3. I'll make the video for yesterday a little bit later. I have to head off to chores now. Okay, bye, love you.